Good evening. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for tuning in, and those who have joined us here. A very special thank you to our speakers here tonight on the ballot. I just want to say, before I talk about more of our plans, on reflection, the thoughts that I have, as we are just a few days away from a very great day, the day when we shall make change happen. We have had a whirlwind 5 weeks, and it was my pleasure to have been able to meet so many of you as we journeyed the length and breadth of our beautiful country. And as the song goes, your love keeps lifting me up higher and higher. We are ready. Trinidad and Tobago is ready. We are ready to get working again and to get TNT working again. But we must first learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Monday morning is not far away, but I ask you to stand firm in your convictions that we will be successful in our endeavors to create a new tomorrow for all the people of our nation. If we can but withstand the skepticism of the doubters and the snares of the unbelievers. We have seen the polls, we have heard the numbers, but I know that our strength does not lie in numbers or in polls. Our strength lies in our ability and a surety that we can create a better society together. And so as we hit the final few days, there are many who would seek to plant seeds of fear and stir up ethnic doubts in our hearts. To me, the biggest challenge is to ignore those who do not believe in our resplendent possibilities as a people and our common destiny as a nation. As we take the world out of people's eyes and they discern the artificial boundaries that have been placed in our path, we should rejoice in a newfound sense of togetherness. There are those who wish to tear us apart, but I ask you in this trying time to stand firm in our beliefs and to aim at achieving our highest aspirations rather than to give in to nativist fears. I know and I think that some fears are very real. Many people have said to me that they fear that if our party returns to power, and we will do so, they fear they will be removed from their jobs because they are not members of the UNC or because they have a different ethnic origin. Tonight I pledge to you, Trinidad and Tobago, that no Trinbagonian would be removed from his or her position party affiliation, or religious beliefs. I have been in politics too long to not admit that these things have happened in the past under several governments. And if we are not watchful, they can happen again. But democracy is a very fragile thing. If we do not watch or economic power to discriminate against anyone in our society. I am not a perfect person. Like the rest of us, I have good days and I have bad days. I face the same stresses and pains that any normal person goes through on a daily basis. We are humans, and we all make mistakes that we regret and wish we could change. I feel sorrow, I feel hurt, I feel pain when I see people affected by crime, when I see jobs being lost, homes being lost, families suffering. It may be unbelievable to some, but I do care for and love all of you. But I make decisions with the hope that I can try to improve people's lives. To those who have made me hurt, to those who may have been hurt by any decision I have made, I apologize. It is never my intention to cause pain. And so I think we will use our collective strength to build a more inclusive union in which we can all flourish. I have learned from the mistakes of the past, and that is why I have rebuilt our party over the past 5 years with a focus on diversity and youth. Young people must not be onlookers in the planning of their future, but instead they must be the ones taking the lead in developing plans and policies. Diversity breeds differing opinions and ideas, and that helps to prevent potential mistakes and poor decisions. As we come to the end of this very grueling campaign, I wish to leave with you some words taken from President Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address, which is very appropriate for this time in our history. I'll make a slight amendment to his words, and these are as follows. Let us strive to finish the work we are in, and the journey our forefathers and foremothers began, to bind the nation's wounds, to care for those who have been in battle before us, and those who fought the good fight, to make us who we are as a people. And so I say to you, our task is to close the racial gap in our society. Our task is to close the gap between the rich and poor. Our task is to enhance the well-being of all our people and to strive to create a greater sense of ethnic cohesion in the only home that we know, Mother Trinidad and Tobago. Our task is to be an example to the world of a diverse and harmonious society where we can proudly proclaim here every creed and race find an equal place. We must learn, as I say, to live together as brothers and sisters or perish together as fools. As we await the outcome of election, I ask you to be comforted by the words from the psalm, which are as follows. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. On Tuesday morning, there shall be great rejoicing in TNT, because we would have opened up a new path of prosperity, ethnic cohesion, and promise that will allow us to build a better society together as one united people. And now, we are just 3 days away from what will no doubt be a defining moment in our nation's history. We are at a crossroads. What we do on August 10th will not only determine our future for the next 5 years, but will do so for the next 50 years. How the nation votes next week will set the course for our nation's future. Tonight, I want to remind each and every citizen that Monday's election is not about Keith Rowley and Kamala. It is about you and your loved ones. It is about ensuring that your loved ones are safer. It is about ensuring that you have jobs. It is about making sure that you are able to provide for yourselves and your families, and that you are able to have a better quality of life. On Monday, we must unite as one nation to ensure the rebirth of our nation, which offers hope, opportunity, development, justice, and a bright future for all. And so I stand before you on the cusp of a time where a nation stands ready to embrace change. You know, as we journeyed through the country over the last several weeks, wherever we went, we saw people ready to break free from the neglect of the Rowley regime. We saw determined people ready to fight the dishonesty, the mismanagement, the hardship that the Rowley party has brought on our nation. In Morva, we painted Morva yellow. We went on Independence Square, only yellow. We went to Diego Martin, yellow. We went to La Hoqueta, Talparo, yellow. Wherever we went, Maruga Tableland, St. Joseph to Napuna, throughout the length and breadth, we saw everyone coming out, rallying with the UNC, coming together as one. And why is that? You know why? The people of our nation are fed up with the lies of the Rowley party. people of our nation are fed up of losing jobs and having no income. The people of this nation are angry at having to tell their children they cannot afford to put meals on the table, while their friends and financiers of the Rowley Party benefit from millions of taxpayers' dollars. The people of our nation are tired of seeing their roads and infrastructure collapsing, whilst Faris and the financiers of the Rowley Party, the Youngs and the Alwaris, benefit to the tune of millions of dollars. That is why, come Monday, they will vote the Rowley Party out. You know, from the time the election bell was rung, I called on all members of our party to fight this election in a clean, respectful, and inclusive way. I call on our candidates to focus on issues that matter to people and not get caught up in the Rowley Party's dirty tricks. I prepared a detailed election code of conduct, which I shared and mandated all our candidates to follow. We know the Rowley Party will do anything to preserve their power. So look at the way, typical way, the Rowley Party has fought this campaign. Insults, blame games, blaming me for everything, as if they forgot that they were in the government for almost 5 years. Even at their Women's Forum, where they claim to champion and uplift the struggles women face, they all aggressively attacked me and every woman on my team. But we remain unfazed. We remain steadfast in our dedication to respect the electorate. Over the course of our campaign, we did not stoop to their depths. We presented clear, concise plans, detailed methods to achieve our plans, and everything we have produced was grounded in deep, extensive research with a maximum chance of success. While the Rowley Party gave you nothing but blame, insults, and innuendo, with no respect for reality and the magnitude of the election, we were out there meeting and consulting with people. We listened to you, we heard you, and we continue to hear your cries of concern. And so I ask you again tonight, after almost 5 years of this Rowley regime, are you better off today than you were in 2015? Are your children better off? No. Is your job more secure? No. Is your grocery bill lower? No. Do you feel any safer? No. If your answer is no to any of these questions, then you have just one choice. The only choice is to vote for the UNC on Monday. I have been on the ground throughout this period, from Maruga to Toko. I have been on the ground meeting and greeting you. I know I cannot hug you, and sometimes you want to hug me, and I have to say no, but that is just for a time. I know your challenges. I know that you are more concerned with putting food on your table and in your children's lunch kits than the 1,000,001 lies that the Keith Party comes to tell you. I'm here to tell you that our plan has real solutions to real problems facing you. You know, in leadership, it is not always about making decisions on your own, just because a decision has to be made. What I've learned over the years is that giving everyone a voice at the table is what real leadership is about. And so, how would decisions be made which affect farmers, for instance, and those who are making the decisions refuse to listen to the farmers? That doesn't make any sense in a democracy. Our core philosophy has always been to listen and then lead. I was very happy to see many throughout the various sectors within our nation coming out to publicly give their opinions on our plans. I've seen members within the creative industries, for example, making public statements about the potential of our plans as it will impact on their industry, and I welcome their comments as we continue to forge a way together. We will continue to engage stakeholders as we prepare not only for government, but for real governance. We will listen to our farmers. We will listen to our fishermen. We listen to our doctors, our lawyers, our taxi drivers, our small and medium-sized businesses. We will listen to all. We will listen, and then we will lead. Everyone will always have a seat at the table under a UNC government. You know, I saw an interview asking WPC Camille, so what are your plans for the next 5 years? What are your plans for people of our country? And she shrugged and, oh, okay. She said, relax. Her plans for the next 5 years, she says, relax. Can you imagine if any one of you on our team had said something like that? But you see, to them, this is really a joke. It's a game for them. We and the UNC have carefully drafted strategic plans for sustainable development, with emphasis on job creation, with emphasis on infrastructure development and maintenance, with lowering taxes to put more money in people's pockets, with delivering a frequent and reliable nationwide water supply, the modernization and expansion of education. And do you know they put out a manifesto, the Rowley Party, recently, a few days ago, and they have no mention of education anywhere. Someone was telling me they have children with brooms sweeping somewhere. If that is your vision for children in a nation, then heaven help us. Our vision for children in this nation is for education to allow them to take care of themselves. Our plans include facilitating opportunity for upward social mobility, especially for young people, caring for the most vulnerable in our country, ensuring safe and secure communities, much more than you could imagine. And so what our plans are, these are the pillars on which the plan is based. These are the foundation pillars. What are some of the specifics? We have a plan set out since last October. So this is no fly-by-night plan. And we have been tweaking and improving on the plan as we go along. We have set goals, and so we want to start working immediately. We have plans for the first 90 days when we take office. We will work with the central bank. We will work with the Minister of Finance. We will work with the CSO to determine the true state of the economy, the country's finances and capital projects. And we will share information with citizens so that we can then properly build and take our nation forward. So we must do that first, as I say, audit, in a sense. What is the true state of the nation's finances after the wreckage that would be left by the Rowley Party? We will immediately provide the Office of the Procurement Regulator with budgetary resources. This is so important. That office has been there for 5 years, established when we were in office, when we were in government 5 years ago. And to date, the Rowley Party has not implemented and has not fully proclaimed procurement legislation. Why? Because it allows them to choose and pick their friends and their family for contracts rather than going through a transparent and accountable process. So we will move to proclaim fully the procurement legislation and to provide a regulator with the necessary resources. We will prepare a divestment plan and debt workout strategy for non-strategic loss-making state enterprises. We will repeal the property tax legislation. We will scrap the proposed revenue authority. We'll examine and address the issue of outstanding VAT refunds. We will prepare legislation for reducing personal income and corporate taxes and simplify the VAT regime. We will begin drafting legislation to fully integrate the Heritage and Stabilization Fund into a new fiscal responsibility framework. We will mandate each minister to prepare a one-year action agenda for consideration and approval of Cabinet. Each action agenda, once approved, will be included in our next budget. We will share with citizens our priorities for action during the upcoming budgetary period. We will formulate a project plan for completion of all infrastructure projects currently in train. We will prioritize the resolution of all outstanding issues regarding former county workers, cane farmers, and former Petrotrin workers. We will incorporate the predial larceny squad into the TTPS. We will establish an economic strategy council. We will initiate discussions on forging economic partnerships, agreements with governments of Israel, Netherlands, Philippines, and amongst others, so that we can further take our country forward. We will implement a fully functioning sea bridge and an equally reliable and dependable air bridge between Trinidad and Tobago. We will work with stakeholders to commence operations at the Petrotrin oil refinery. We will begin a public green building pilot with the Twin Towers, Ministry of Finance and Central Bank buildings, and the International Waterfront Center. We will mandate NEHRS to conduct 4 siting exercises to consider the adoption and use of biotechnology and digital technologies within specific industries. We will immediately ban all single-use plastic straws and mandate solid waste SWIMCOL to develop a new national recycling education program. We will initiate the process of aligning gate funding to economic priority areas and labor market needs. We will request both the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank to initiate the process of creating the National Food Security Fund, a National Infrastructure Fund, and a National Climate Trust Fund. These 3 innovative funds will mobilize financial resources for our economic development plan without raising public debt. We will not be borrowing for these funds. We will request both the Ministry of Finance and Central Bank to prepare an action plan for issuing diaspora bonds to the TNT diaspora community. In that way, our citizens abroad in diaspora can also help to fund our development here. We will re-establish the Ministry of the People. We will re-establish the Ministry of Justice. And those are some of the things for the 90-day plan. But we also have the plan to create 50,000 new jobs to improve the lives of all our citizens. Let's hear that plan for the 50,000 jobs. For the last 5 years, almost, we have seen pure hell from the Rowley Party. As before COVID, over 60,000 jobs were lost. Before COVID. And post-COVID, more than 100,000 jobs have been lost. When they came into office, they promised jobs. You know what we got instead? We got the firings at TDC, retrenchment at TSTT, unemployment at UTT, almost in every sector, and let us never, ever, ever forget. They closed down Petrotrin, put in nearly 9,000 to 10,000 people on the breadline after the Prime Minister told this nation the government was not shutting down Petrotrin. The biggest lie, I would say, in the history of our country. The government, Petrotrin, our oil industry, over 100 years old, the oldest in the world. We have one of the oldest industries in oil, and then we expand into gas in the world. We had the expertise, we had the skills, and the government just shut it down. Never forget, never ever forget who blew out the flame when you pass the Petrotrin, the flame that you would see there. Never ever forget. We must never forget when the finance minister told the unions, 0, 0, 0. We started over 143 wage negotiations. They have not started a single wage negotiation. Talk about the worst labor minister ever in the history of our country. We must never forget the greatest sin I mentioned, the day when they said all Petrotrin workers would go home, and they sent them home. No other prime minister in our national history has ever governed over so many job losses. Imagine Mr. Rowley's negotiation and failed management crushed our energy sector. It's not just Petrotrin, crushed our energy sector, sending thousands home. The closure of Yara, ArcelorMittal, 8 plants in Point Lisa crushed our energy sector. And yet with a track record of abject failure on job creation, Mr. Rowley a few nights ago said that we wanted, and we don't know how to get a plan and how to create the 50,000 jobs. We did it before, and we will do it again. We have a track record. We did it before. Since our last budget, we put the plan out there for comments and so on. What have they done? They have not created a single new job in almost 5 years they have been in office. Tonight I want to remind you, I want to remind the people of the East-West Corridor that we will create the East-West Biotechnology Manufacturing Corridor. We will develop the Piarco Aircraft Maintenance, Repair and Operations Hub. We will launch a Tamana Solar Tech Renewable Energy Park. All these will bring jobs. These will create jobs for us, bring productivity, and get TNT working again. In the West, we will launch the East Port of Spain Steel Pan Manufacturing Network. You know, I saw again this document they bring and they're calling a manifesto. And I saw in the newspaper over the last day or so, full-page ads, 2-page spreads. They're talking about steel pan manufacturing. They're talking about all the things we had in our creative industries with respect to the master plan. These fellas just cutting and pasting and thieving even ideas. Somebody told me that the storm passed us the last time because these people, they were thief even the wind, so the storm didn't want to come. They didn't want to come here. And here we go on. We will implement the West Port of Spain Trinidad Creative Arts Street. Therefore, throughout the corridor, we will restore opportunities that utilizes skills and talents of all walks of life. In Central, we will build the Digital Innovation Park at Sevilla. We will create the Brecon Castle Agro-Processing Complex. These are 2 major projects that our younger and older generations both can play a part in the development of our nation. In South, Taka spoke a bit about it. We will ensure the following: the Cedros Maruga Southwest Peninsula Economic Zone. We will re-establish the steel industry, the St. Madeleine Sugar Manufacturing Facility. And they said they are not getting into sugar, yet we are spending millions of dollars importing sugar when there is so much idle land. And the plan for this was not to put Caroni back to work. The plan that we have is for private farmers who have the idle land, who use to plant cane and sell it to the factories. They will be able to get their idle lands back into production and therefore earn incomes for themselves. It will also create revenue streams for us, because in addition to saving forex, which we use now to buy sugar, we might be able to sell some of this sugar and also earn some forex. We will incentivize our energy sector. And for the Southeast, to support our southern energy companies, we will create the Point Galeota Energy Logistics Hub. There are great synergies I mentioned before with this, given what's happening in Ghana with the oil sector and Suriname with the oil sector. The Point Galeota can become an energy logistic hub. We will do the phase 2. We did phase 1, they came in, they stalled, they left everything as it was. We will come back and we will do phase 2. While the Rowley Party has robbed our nation of opportunity, in the UNC we have a very comprehensive plan, which we brought to you, as I said, since last year. And come next week, we will work to rebuild our economy, to get TNT working again. No community will be left behind. No community will be left behind. No constituency will be forgotten. Every citizen, regardless of age, class, race, education, or economic background, must play a part in the development of our economy. And there we are, creating the 50,000 new jobs. I spoke to you before about the wage subsidy to help those who had jobs, lost their jobs, for the small business sectors to get their businesses going again. Government will partner with them to give a wage subsidy so existing jobs or newly lost jobs can also be reborn. In addition to that, we have a plan to deal with university graduates. I've been, as I said, on the ground over the several weeks, and where you go, you meet these young people, degrees, tertiary level education, and no jobs. They don't know where to go or where to turn. So I want to share with you another policy proposal that we have come up with, which is to create 5,000 industry-led jobs for our university graduates. Education, children, and issues affecting young people remain my top priority. This academic year, as the ones previously, thousands of our young university and college graduates are worried about not finding a job. Many are yet to be employed, even if they've graduated a year or two or more and they have their degrees. Under the Rowley government, there has been no alignment of the higher education system to the evolving needs of the private sector. There remains a significant mismatch between talent development and industry needs. We will fix this. All of this I have promised, and now with the significant decline in business activity, there are now very few opportunities for young graduates to gain employment. We cannot afford a brain drain. We cannot afford to have thousands of our young citizens seeking greener pastures outside of TNT. We cannot afford to have qualified labor sitting idle. This is what the Rowley Party has done by not putting jobs, by no diversification, and no business support at the forefront of our development. So this is what I propose. Their plan is tax, 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 borrow, 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 spend and spend and spend. How do I get these young graduates working? I can't say working again because some never had a job. We propose, as part of my pro-business agenda, to develop a graduate internship program geared specifically to the private sector. Unlike the current OJT program, where over 95% of the trainees are placed in the public sector, that is in the government sector, so they take up jobs of unfilled public sector government vacancies. This program that I am proposing, the Graduate One-Year Internship Program, will seek to place 5,000 young graduates into the hands of the private sector funded by the state. They will all undergo an online training program in digital technology integration, thereby realigning their career paths to economic areas that are in demand. This will allow the private sector to improve their business operations as well as develop new digital and entrepreneurial skills within the business itself. I expect many of these 5,000 young digital ambassadors will aid in our transformation of the business sector as we move to a digital economy as outlined in our master plan. So what this is a 5,000 young graduates, over time gradually, will be placed in the business environment, in the public sector, thereby not working with the traditional OJT, working in government offices, and therefore they will gain experience in the business sector, but also help to develop that business sector, which is where we have to go, to the private sector, to get TNT working again. How will this plan work? I don't place my plans before you in vague rhetoric. Every time we have put our plans, we have had what we call smart targets, smart plans. You have targets, you say where the funding is coming from, and you pick up our transformation plan. You see everything that we have in there. We say where we're going to get the funds from. And with this now, we are saying we'll place 5,000 graduates into industry. That's the plan. The cost will be $7,562.50 per month for one. That is a salary equivalent to the present OJT graduate salary. These persons will be level 4 bachelor's graduates. And the cost of it annually, $453.75 million TT dollars. Not 22 billion that this government has spent and people are still suffering. The cost per month will be $37.81 million per month. So this is doable, this is feasible to create these jobs for our young graduates. The time period we propose in or about October 2020 to begin this program. And the unit that will be set up to make this happen will be a special purpose unit within the same OJT program. So we will have the infrastructure and administrative knowledge and expertise in the OJT program, but there will be a special unit created for this graduate program. So I just want to correct some misconceptions as we go ahead. Facts about our proposed National Infrastructure Development Fund. Well, whoever tell me to talk about this fund? Immediately I spoke about it. The trolls were out there and the naysayers were out there without any understanding of financing. Taka understands that, he will know what we are talking about. I mentioned it a little last time, but I noticed that people are still asking questions and spreading the false narrative that we intend to take people's pension funds out of the NIB, and we are going to take people's mutual funds out of the UTC. Nothing is further from the truth. Nothing is further from the truth. They have been running a smear campaign against us. They want to distract from the fact they've done nothing in the 5 years to improve your lives, and they have no real plan to take you forward. So they've been pushing a narrative, false narrative, that the UNC wants to seize money from UTC and NIB. Here's what I said we would do. Let me repeat it. A UNC government will invite the UTC and NIB to participate in our proposed National Infrastructure Fund as equity partners using their idle cash balances. Using what? Their idle cash balances. Not the people's pensions, not the people's mutual funds, but using idle cash balances to help seed the fund's this fund's capital. Idle cash balances belong to the institutions. Idle cash balances are excess cash sitting in the banks earning zero return. So they're idle there. They belong to the institution, the NIB or the UTC. They do not belong, as I say, to the pension holders. They do not belong to the mutual fund holders. They're sitting idle and earning zero. Mutual funds and national insurance funds, furthermore, are ring-fenced. They are ring-fenced by the law of the land for the protection of the unit or pension fund holder. No government, but no government, can touch or access those funds, the pension funds and the mutual funds. You cannot touch it. They are ring-fenced. It's like a fortress in the law that the government cannot touch those funds. Instead, we are going at the idle funds that belong to these institutions. The process we will use, and you see the hypocrisy of the Rowley Party, the process we will use is no different from that which they use for the CLICO Investment Fund, the CIF. So you do not touch the pension funds, you do not touch the mutual funds, you use the idle cash balances. These funds will be invested to generate a revenue stream for the companies investing. So instead of earning zero, they'll be invested to create revenue streams to come in. Again, I want to emphasize, your UTC investments and your NIB pensions are safe. They are in safe hands with the UNC. COVID-19, another set of propaganda that the Rowley Party has been pushing. We know that they have failed to properly manage the COVID, because now we are seeing more cases coming up. If they had done the proper testing from the very beginning, we would have been in a better position. But just said we close the borders. Every country in the world closed their borders. So what's new? What did you do that was different? Every country in the world closed their borders. And by the way, you're using COVID as your platform, as your ship to sail into victory for an election. It's not going to happen. It will not happen. Because every other country in the world is also battling COVID. So you are not special. What is special about you is you have failed to properly manage the COVID pandemic in Trinidad and Tobago. I want you to ask yourselves, if the COVID hadn't come along, what would this government have to talk about on their platforms? If COVID hadn't come, what would they be speaking about? Because they don't have an achievement to talk about. They don't have anything to tell you. Their plans, they're not even plans. They're half-baked ideas that they're saying that they will go forward are rehashes, repeats of the things they've been promising in every budget over the last 5 years and never delivered. It's like a cut and paste, as I said before, with no substance. Much of it is these glossy, nice pictures. The other part of it is blame Kamala. Their plan is to blame Kamala. That's their plan, to continue blaming Kamala. But that's going to work. It's not going to work now. So they've used the COVID as a propaganda tool to mask, to hide their incompetence and failures over the past 5 years. Testing around the world was increased to protect citizens. In TNT, we have undertaken only about 7,500 tests, a population of 1.4 million people. We are number 162 nation in the world for testing. We are not 100. We are not number 1 as they were boasting. We are 162 in the world. When it was time to secure our borders, they failed. They allowed COVID to come in through the back door. Just when you close the border, Madame Delcy on a plane flying with others on that plane. Others are coming through the back door all over Dong Cedros. Taka knows that all over. So I am told there are even boats coming into Chagaramas, bringing in illegals. What are you doing about it? But you want to say Dong South, don't care, and it's Dong South. What do you have this obsession with the South? What is it with the South? You're saying it's because of the South people? Dr. Rowley, it is a Rowley party who is a failure, and you're the cause of what is happening today. So, schools closing. They were forced now to shut down all the schools. We don't know now, as we go into this phase, what will happen, because they're still not doing the amount of testing that needs to be done. Rowley is aware that if he admits his spike, it would only allow that to contradict his campaign rhetoric, like we handled it well. So he's playing games with this thing. Ask yourselves, if the borders were closed, where did the spike come from? Where did it come from? What the country needs now is a clear plan and the political will to take tough actions to protect our citizens. COVID cannot be stopped by the rhetoric of we protected you before, we will do it again. That's what they're trying to tell you, you know. They did it, what have you done? We need a proper plan. The UNC has developed such a plan. It is a 9-point plan, and we have published it in the media. It's on our social media pages, printed it in the newspapers and so on. I will just give you the main headings of our 9-point plan. 1, maintain closed borders. We intend to maintain or close borders to non-nationals until it is safe to reopen them. 2, establish a repatriation program for our nationals. We will open our borders to stranded nationals only, who upon arrival will place them in quarantine and so on. And we will done this to match capacity across our medical institutions and in strict accordance with World Health Organization guidelines and protocols. 3, we will provide medical support. 4, we will introduce rapid response testing. 5, we will ensure PPE for healthcare workers. 6, we'll establish a COVID intelligence unit. 7, we'll create a virtual safety net around TNT. Again, they don't understand the technology. This is a party, and Mr. Rowley talking about they want to get into technology, and they don't understand it. This was a man I told you came to Parliament with fake emails that any child in a secondary school I gave a laptop to would have known. They were fake emails and just pieces of papers. They do not understand the technology. So they went off on this issue when we said we'll create a virtual safety net around TNT, a dome. It was a virtual dome. And someone told me, you know, when the commissioner of police said he will create a bubble around these CPL players, nobody asked him, what kind of bubble are you going to make? Plastic? Steel? Metal? It was the same issue of a virtual safety net. This is what we will do. 8, COVID compliance. We will deploy teams of health officials to make sure we have compliance with the COVID guidelines. and 9, a public education program. So we have a 9-point plan on which we are very clear that we can deal with COVID when we form the new government. So I thank you for that. I want to close now and to remind you, in 2015, Mr. Rowley, then opposition leader, demanded the presence of international observers. Remember that? We agreed, he demanded. We agreed with him, and we brought several international observers for that general election 2015. Today he has found so many reasons why we have no international observers. Now we know we cannot trust this government. We cannot trust the Rowley party. From email-gate lies, Petrotrin lies, fake call, Seabridge Gate, and so many more, we have no confidence in them. But I have absolute confidence in the citizens of our beloved nation. And today I call for national observers. I call for national observers for election on Monday. I nominate every citizen as a national observer and call upon you to pay attention to what is happening around you. Look for the irregularities at the stations during these last few days and on Monday. If you see something, say something. Tell us on our UNC pages. Put it out in the social media. Arm yourselves with your cell phone and record them. Record everything that you see. Be a national observer. Tape them vandalizing banners and posters. Tape them removing the garbage bins people put in to help people. Tape them in terms of every irregularity that you see. That's what we can do, that each one of us can become a national observer for general election 2020. Do we agree with that? We agree that we cannot trust them. And when you go to vote on Monday, wear your mask, please. Wear your mask and go to vote. Come out early. Now we've seen where in the special voting over this last several days, that the EBC is now asking to set up another station for special voting because the numbers of persons who came and were able to vote was very small, and there are others who still have to vote. And they want to set up another station. In effect, what they're doing is set up another day. There was one day given for those voters to vote. These were voters in the prisons, and only a small number of them were able to vote because of the delays. Now that is worrisome. And therefore it means on election day, when there will be thousands more of you going out to vote, you have to get out there early because there will be delays when you go to vote. Go out early on Monday, vote. Take your mask with you, wear your mask and vote. They have put some guidelines. You will sanitize when you enter the voting station. Then when you go to vote, you will sanitize before you dip your finger in the ink, and you will sanitize again after you dip your finger in the ink. Do not let anyone fool you. If you do not receive your poll card in time, and many have not received it, you do not need a poll card to go to vote. You do not need a poll card. Secondly, if your ID card has expired, you can still vote. Go to the station, go vote. Do not let anyone fool you. So the choice is clear for us. I say there's only one choice. Together, we will deliver a better future for you and your family. And so, the thing that you have to do is Monday, August 10th. Come out in your numbers and vote them out. Vote the only choice. Vote UNC for lower taxes. Vote UNC for 50,000 new jobs. Vote UNC for laptops for your children. Vote UNC to get TNT working again. I thank you very much.
Hi, Senator Sobers.
Hello, hello.
I have 10 questions for you today. First one, what are you doing today?
Well, today I'm at Presentation College San Fernando, and we're doing a sanitization project here. I'm getting the school ready for the boys as they come back out for exams. And we just left NAPS doing the same thing as well, and also dropped off some hampers at Naprima boys as well too. And after this, I think I'm gonna go for a nice brief walk in Green Acres in San Fernando with my campaign management team.
Okay, so what's the first thing you do on mornings?
First thing I do, get up, say my prayers, kneel down and say my prayers, very important, and then make breakfast for my wife and daughter, and head out and take a proper sweat in the gym.
So tell me, why should I come out and vote in this election?
This election is the mother of all elections. And we in the UNC intend to create 50,000 jobs for the people of Trinidad and Tobago in an effort to get Trinidad and Tobago properly working again. We intend to put money back into the pockets of the people of this country by lowering income taxes so they have more spending power when they go out there onto the streets of Trinidad.
But let's talk about food. Curry or pilau?
Curry lau. Yes, I know it might sound very unique and weird, but it is the most amazing thing you'll eat. I have a partner out there in St. Joseph who does the best curry lau. It's a combination of pilau and curry sauce. Amazing to die for. Nico, you know what I'm talking about.
So tell me, what are you looking forward to post-COVID?
Gatherings with family members and friends. I miss those gatherings, and I would love to have those gatherings again with no restrictions of 5 or 10 persons.
What are your plans for here in San Fernando?
Well, as I mentioned, we have a plan for the country to create 50,000 jobs. 5,000 to 7,000 of those jobs will be right here in San Fernando. And it's our way of trying to get the people of San Fernando working again.
So we established that you like to go to the gym, but how much can you really bench press?
Well, the most I've ever done was about 505 pounds. But on any given day, I could crank out about 10 reps with 375 pounds.
So when you're out campaigning, what are people telling you?
People want change and they want more access. More access to their representatives, more access to their members of parliament. And I have started by doing that by giving out my personal cell phone number to all persons whilst I'm on my walkabouts. And if you don't have it, here it is, 767-8600. Call or WhatsApp at any point in time.
So I heard you can cook. When was the last time you cooked dinner for your wife?
Last week, Saturday, barbecue under the stars. A perfect end to Saturday evening.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you win San Fernando West?
The very first thing will be to tell people thank you. And then right after that, get onto the ground and start working. In the theme of Martin Luther King, the urgency of now. Now is the time to get active. Now is the time to get working again. Now is the time that we're going to generate so much energy to get San Fernando West and the rest of this country on a proper path to productivity and working again.
Thank you, Senator Sobers.
Of course, no problem. Bye.
Now is the time! No, no, no. The time is no. No, no. The time is no. Now is the time to vote them out. The time is no. And vote. No. Hey, hey, hey. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to cast your vote. Now is the time to start to work. Now is the time we bring your hope. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to take a stand. Cause the UNC have the plan. Put up your hand if you understand.
So let's all join together as one. If you believe that the time has come, election day when you stay in your hand is for the UNC and the rising sun, 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 sun.
What time it is? No. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to build the nation, to seek for the children education. It's time for a leader who have a plan. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to reduce the tax. Now is the time for all crime to stop. This is the time we're not giving up.
So let's all join together as one. If you believe that the time has come, election day when you stay in your hand is for the UNC